All right, so welcome to another deep dive with us. Today we're tackling some pretty big questions about faith and how we can overcome challenges.
Yeah, some really big ones.
And we're coming at it, from a Christian perspective. We've got a great story here from the Apostolic Faith Church devotional.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about a family dealing with some car trouble during a move.
Uh-huh.
And we're also going to look at Isaiah 43:1 to 7. You want to understand how, there's no challenge too big for God.
Right.
How our trust in him should be like a child's trust in their parent. So let's see what we can find.
Absolutely. Let's jump in. Those are some pretty powerful ideas to explore.
Okay, so first, this car trouble story.
Okay.
This family is driving across states, moving, and their car keeps stalling. Starts, stops, starts, stops.
Oh, I can imagine.
Talk about frustrating, especially in the middle of a move.
Yeah, definitely. And what's interesting, though, is how even with this very real, very frustrating problem, the story shows how strong their faith is. They're relying on Isaiah 41:10 for strength and guidance. And their sons even pray specifically referencing that verse when the car stalls again.
And you know what happens? The car starts.
Of course.
Like, ask and you shall receive in action.
It really shows the power of prayer, but also, that childlike faith you mentioned earlier.
Right.
They don't try to figure out how God's going to fix it. They just come to him with the problem and trust he will.
Isn't that amazing? And it gets even more interesting because later, a mechanic figures out that the problem was this tiny little filter.
Oh, wow.
It's like this little thing causing this huge headache.
Yeah, that's so often how life works. We see problems through our own limited human way of thinking.
Exactly.
What seems gigantic and impossible to us might actually have a simple solution.
Right.
Or at least one that God can handle easily.
So this car story really sets us up for this idea
Right.
that even when things seem impossible, faith can open up a solution.
Right.
But to really understand the power of God, let's look at Isaiah 43.
Yeah.
Ready for some powerful verses.
Let's do it. I always love how deep Isaiah's words are. So beautiful.
Verses 1 and 2 say, "Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have summoned you by name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you." Just wow.
Wow, yeah. Let those words sink in for a minute.
It's like God knows we're going to be afraid,
Yeah.
worried when we face those waters and rivers of challenges.
Exactly.
And he's saying up front, I got this. I'm with you.
Right. He doesn't just say, I'm here to help. He claims us. I have redeemed you. You are mine.
Right.
That feeling of belonging, is powerful.
It is powerful. And that concept of redemption might need some explaining.
Yeah, you're right.
What does that actually mean?
Basically, it means being bought back, set free. In this case, God's freeing us from, the power of sin and fear, and he's bringing us into a relationship with him.
That makes sense. So we're redeemed. We belong to him.
Right.
And he promises to be with us during the tough times. It all connects to that childlike trust we were talking about. A child just knows their parent will protect them.
Yeah.
Even if they don't know how.
That's it. You hit it right on the head. Because if we truly believe that we belong to God, that he's all-powerful and he's with us in our challenges,
Yes.
then any challenge that seems bigger in God, well, it just can't exist.
Whoa. Okay. You just blew my mind a little bit there.
It's kind of a radical thought, isn't it?
Yeah. I've never thought about it like that before.
It is. But it's really at the heart of what Isaiah is saying. And it makes you approach problems in a whole new way. If something can't even be done by God, then it's not really an impossible obstacle.
Okay. Let's keep going with Isaiah.
Verses 3 and 4 say, "For I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. Since you are precious and honored in my sight, and because I love you, I will give people in exchange for you, nations in exchange for your life."
Mm-hmm.
Those verses always hit me hard. They are powerful. God's not just reminding us he's powerful and our Savior. He's saying how much we're worth to him.
Right.
We are precious to him.
And he's not just saying it.
Right.
He's saying he'll go to incredible lengths to protect us.
He is.
That's some serious commitment.
Serious commitment. And when you think about that love and that commitment, it just backs up this idea that there are no truly impossible challenges.
Yeah.
If God, who loves us this much and has all this power, is on our side,
Right.
well, what can really stand against us?
Okay, you've given me a lot to think about already. Should we go on to the rest of Isaiah?
Yes, let's. Okay, so let's dive into verses 5 through 7. They say, "Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bring your children from the east and gather you from the west. I will say to the north, give them up. And to the south, do not hold them back. Bring my sons from afar and my daughters from the ends of the earth, everyone who is called by my name, whom I created for my glory, whom I formed and made.
It's like God saying, no matter where his people are, he'll bring them back. Like they've strayed, they're scattered, but he'll gather them all up.
It's such a beautiful image, of everyone belonging, coming together. And think about when this was written.
Yeah.
Isaiah was talking to the Israelites when they were in exile.
Right.
Feeling lost, abandoned, these words would have been so comforting, giving them so much hope.
It reminds us that even when we feel alone in our struggles,
Mm-hmm.
we're still part of something so much bigger. God's family, his chosen people. And it all comes back to our purpose.
Exactly.
Our identity, which is found in God. We're created by him for his glory.
Yes, exactly. And when our challenges feel impossible to overcome, it's because we're seeing them from, just a human perspective. But from God's perspective, there's no challenge too big because he's the creator,
Right.
the one who formed us, the one with all the power.
I'm really starting to see how everything fits together. That car story, these verses from Isaiah, and this idea that real challenges can't exist if God's bigger than them. It's like we're not ignoring how hard things are,
Right.
but we're choosing to see them through God's power and love.
Exactly. And that change in how you look at things, that can be so freeing.
You can.
Instead of feeling crushed by our problems, we can face them with confidence because we know God's with us,
Yeah.
guiding us, working everything out for good.
You know what? This reminds me of a song that really gets at what we've been talking about. No weapon formed against me shall prosper by Fred Hammond.
No, of course. A classic.
It's so powerful, such a declaration of faith and trust in God's protection. Have you heard it?
Absolutely. It gives me chills every time.
Me too.
Those lyrics are like a battle cry against fear and doubt. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. God will do what he said he would do. I won't be afraid.
Right.
So powerful.
And when you connect those lyrics back to the car story and what Isaiah is saying,
Yeah.
it all clicks. It's
Yeah.
that feeling of just letting go, surrendering, knowing God's in control, and he'll bring us through.
I think a lot of people have trouble with that.
Yeah.
Letting go of needing to understand and just trusting. It's easy to get caught up in the why of our struggles.
It is.
But what if we focused on the who? The one who's with us through those struggles no matter what.
That's such an interesting thought.
It is.
I know I've been guilty of getting stuck on the why myself. It's like I need to have all the answers, all the control.
I understand.
But maybe that's where childlike faith comes in. Letting go of control, surrendering to God's plan.
And surrendering doesn't mean giving up, right?
Right.
It means recognizing our limits and trusting God, his wisdom, his power. It's working with him, letting him lead us, even when we don't get it.
This has been so powerful, but I don't want us to get too abstract. I want to bring this back to you, the letter.
Yeah.
Think about a challenge you're facing right now. What would it look like to approach that challenge with this childlike faith we've been talking about?
That's a great question. Maybe it starts with admitting you need God. Maybe it's spending time in prayer. Not just asking for answers, but being with him.
Yeah.
Feeling his comfort, his guidance.
And maybe it's reminding yourself of what we talked about today. You are redeemed, you belong to God, he's always with you, and nothing can really stand against his power if you trust him.
It's a process for sure. It's not about suddenly having all the answers or never being afraid. It's about bringing those fears and doubts to God and choosing to trust him, even when it's hard.
And remember, you don't have to do this alone. You have your faith community, your support system.
Exactly.
And most importantly, keep praying to God. He's always there, ready to listen, to comfort you, to guide you through.
I love that. It reminds us that even in the middle of challenges, we have so much to be thankful for. God's love, his presence, his promises,
Right.
and his people to support us.
It's easy to get caught up in the negative, but when we focus on what we're grateful for, it changes everything. It opens up space for hope, for joy,
It does.
and for a deeper trust in God, even when things are tough.
So as we keep thinking about faith, trust, and overcoming challenges, let's consider how these ideas play out in our own lives.
As we're wrapping up this deep dive, I'm, struck by how much this has made me think. It's so easy to get lost in our daily struggles and forget, that God's bigger than any problem we face.
Yeah, it is a powerful reminder, and it's probably something we need to hear again and again. Life can really throw us those curveballs, the
Yeah,
ones that shake our faith and make us question things.
absolutely. There have been times in my own life when, that childlike trust we talked about, it was hard to find. Times when I felt overwhelmed, even, I'll admit, angry,
Right.
resentful that God would let certain things happen.
It makes sense to feel that way. We're human. We're not, programmed to have perfect faith 24/7. But I think it's when we struggle
Yeah,
that we can really grow. When we wrestle with our doubts and fears, we come out stronger with a deeper, tougher faith.
I really like that way of looking at it. It's not pretending the hard stuff isn't there. It's choosing to trust God even when it's hard. And remembering He's not just watching from afar.
Right.
He's right there with us.
Exactly, walking through the fire with us. And when we talk about this childlike faith,
Yeah.
it's not about being naive. It's about that pure, deep trust a child has in their parent. They know they're loved, cared for. They believe their parent will always be there no matter what.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it makes me think, how do we build that kind of trust with God? I think it starts with spending time with Him,
Yeah.
getting to know Him,
Yeah.
experiencing His love and faithfulness for ourselves.
And it's about letting go of control. We always want to figure everything out,
Yeah.
have all the answers. But real faith means letting go of that, trusting that God has a plan, even when we don't see it.
So, as we end this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with a question.
Okay.
What if you really believed that no challenge is too big with God on your side?
What would change for you?
How would you see things differently?
How would you act differently?
If you lived with that confidence, that unshakable trust in God's power and love?
It's something to think about. It might just change how you face your challenges.
You're not alone in this. God's with you, walking with you, guiding you through every storm. And may His love and grace always be with you.
And may you find the freedom and peace that comes from putting your trust in the one who holds everything in his hands.